Are you a ninja? Do you want me to show you what a ninja does?
I think it's more offensive to actual ninjas.
I have been called ninja many a time.
Because we have no skills at all.
But I do take kickboxing. I wish I would. It'd be so sick, innit?
Ninja is not the trend at the moment. It's more of the terrorist one.
So someone sent me this video, and instead of doing an objective point-by-point style debate, I don't think those type of things are useful, but someone asked me to reveal my raw thoughts on it, because I think it's so important to illustrate that you're not racist if you hate the burqa, or you dislike it, or if it scares you. Because I'm an ex-Muslim, and I think that the burqa makes me scared. It makes me scared not because of her appearance, and I've had experience with this even when I was Muslim and religious. Women in niqab or burqa would scare me. The way they looked at me, and I could just only see their eyes. I can't really see their whole facial expression. The way that they would say things to me. I used to communicate with Muslim women in a burqa or a niqab, and I used to feel this intimidation factor. Even as a religious Muslim, I would feel like I can't see her expressions. I don't know what she's saying. Is she angry? These things are so important when it comes to communicating with a person. It's not because I want to lust over your face. I think I'm totally fine with a woman wearing hijab, and I can communicate with her because I could see her facial expressions. So my bottom line is that you have to have a face. And now keep in mind that these women, they can take off their burqa or niqab when it comes to photo IDs, when it comes to their license, when it comes to, like, let's say a crime, going into a bank, having to identify themselves. You know, if they get pulled over by a cop, they're allowed to do that technically in Islam. But what scares me about these women wearing the burqa or niqab is that it's not them, because I find them to be pretty intelligent at the end. I mean, I think they're doing this as a form of rebellion when they come to Western countries. But what I fear for them is the implications of and the thoughts of their Muslim husband. And I fear this because the only reason why, mainly why a Muslim woman will wear a burqa or niqab is because of this Salafist, Wahhabi interpretation of Islam. And that's what scares me. That's what scares me, is that they will go into a more literal understanding of what Islam is. And this has been debated on so many platforms, what hijab means. And other rational Muslims will just say you have to cover the bosom and the hair. You know, some of them go into more of loose clothing. You see the jilbab. If you Google jilbab, it's more of like loose clothing covering the entire body. So there's different interpretations of this. But what I'm saying is it's not racist to dislike this burqa, because it is intimidating in a social atmosphere when you communicate. It's like me wearing a ski mask and I'm communicating with a woman. It's like that, the bottom line. So those are my thoughts about it. Yes, I do feel for these women in the niqab and the burqa who get pushed down in the grocery store, or if they get harassed. But you have to understand that there are Muslim women that start fights as well in public atmospheres. I've seen it myself. So it's not healthy for us to always sympathize with them, and that's what I think that it'll create in the public sphere. Like we're always going to sympathize with these women just because of their religion, and we're not going to evaluate them by their pure character. That too. And we also have the implication of sending a message to younger Muslim women, which I think is unhealthy. I think younger Muslim women will look at this and say, wow, that woman is brave. She is so modest. I want to be just like her when I grow up. And I think this is very unhealthy as well, because it defines for them the religion as clothing being modest. And I know the women in the niqab and the burqa could suck up to the Westerners and say things like, well, you could show modesty in different ways. But ask their Muslim husband if they believe that. They will believe, at the bottom line, that clothing, you not making eye contact with the opposite gender, is modesty. And that is not how you define modesty. You cannot restrict it to a piece of clothing. And I don't think women need this term modesty. That's just your opinion. If you want to say that, you know, you can look at the other side of the argument, and the Muslim women will straight out say that models or bikini models or Western women are oppressed because they want to do all this stuff, like modeling and all that kind of stuff. They're oppressed because of that. That is not what Western society is about. So it restricts thinking when it comes to the Muslim women. And I think that this niqab and burqa will influence people in a negative way. And I used to think it was wrong that France banned the hijab or niqab. But now that I look back at it, it's you assimilating to their country. And that's the bottom line. And I don't see any shame in recognizing that even in America. I think Americans should stand up and say you need to at least have a face. And I don't think it's racist at all. Because if you want to propagate your views, that's fine. And if you want to wear that kind of stuff, you can in your Muslim country. I understand that you recognize the right to do it in the country, but is it objectively good for all Americans to have this emotional fear? And it's not because we're fearing Islam, but we're fearing the fact that we can't see your face, we don't know what you believe when it comes to women, and we don't want to go backwards. For example, we don't want to tell people it's okay, 434 of the Quran, to beat women as a last resort. There's only a certain amount that you can tolerate when it comes to diversity. And that's just my opinion in conclusion. So thanks for watching, guys.